the first thing that you're going to see as you come into the Heritage Center are some big black and white banners that are aerial views of the community. This one, for instance, is Red Lake in 1950, and you can see the entire development at that time with the Howie Bay in the background. And you feel the banners are nice and big, so you have a sense that you're actually in the picture. And a little bit later, we have another banner here that dates back to the early 1940s. Another big black and white banner. Okay. This is our donor wall, and this wall here represents first of all, the image was designed by a woman called Cheryl Wilson Smith, who lives here in Red Lake. And it represents the Northern Lights, and there are over 1,000 tiles in the mural, and people have purchased tiles to leave a legacy in the community, but to also assist the Heritage Center with our programming. And so any funds that are generated through the sale of tiles goes back into the community for different projects, like art projects or a variety of other initiatives that we have. The merchandise that we carry in our gift shop is primarily connected to the history of the area. So, for instance, and also we have a lot of clothing that has aviation images on it. Also, Norval Morrisseau and Woodland Artists. We have, of course, postcards of the Norsemen, different visual adventures, videos that were done of the community. The art wall represents the Aboriginal art of the community, which is extremely rich. The origins of the woodland art movement started in Red Lake with Norval Morrisseau, which this is one of his original paintings in the collection. Here we have examples of a display of the beadwork done by Aboriginal women in this area. So this here is a drum, a ceremonial drum used by First Nations communities in the Poplar Hill, the Kanjikun, Bungassi, and Little Grand Rapids area in the 30s and into the 1940s and 50s. What we have here is a multimedia exhibit, which is both in English and Ojibwe, where you can just simply press a button and you will hear the story, the legend of Red Lake told by a narrator. The artifacts, these are all original items that Mel used. And this is where Mel was also very much involved in sports in the area. He was a real promoter. And a lot of people who grew up here remember sitting in that chair and on that little bench for the little kids. We have the original chair that Dr. Aiken used. He was the very first doctor in the area. When you look at the tools there, you realize, a lot of the tools are pretty scary looking. So we get a lot of people seeing this and saying, "Oh boy, I'm so glad I don't have to go to have that kind of dentistry anymore." The one here is the Hell's Acres exhibit. Jean Campbell was the wife of George Campbell, the fellow who discovered Campbell Mine. And Jean was a collector of all sorts of things, but especially salt and pepper shakers. And what she used to say to people who came to visit her, or if they left the area, or if they went on a trip somewhere, she would say to them, "Give me your salt and pepper shakers as a souvenir of you being here, of being my friend. Or if you're going for a trip, pick up a pair of salt and pepper shakers for my collection." And she ended up with over 6,000 pairs, and we don't have, of course, 6,000 here, but we have a fairly good representation. And her piano, she had a player piano and entertained her friends for years and years on this piano. And she was more or less the first person. She was almost like a museum. She had her own little museum there, and she liked to tell stories about the past and about George. A replica of the typical Hudson's Bay post, and with a lot of furs, samples of furs that were trapped in this area, and the kinds of items that would have been sold. We see the Hudson's Bay blankets over here, and the kind of equipment. For instance, there's a number of the merchandise that they would have sold, as well as some of the goods, bottles, for instance. This is our big screen. We have an HD screen here, and we have the aviation video that we show. It's a story on the history of aviation. It's called Flying Up. The old movie projector from Madsen. The projector was in use in the 1930s and 40s, and the movies were shown at the old Madsen Community Center. And this is a replica of the outside here is a replica of the typical of the first theater. We call this our multi-purpose room because it really has many purposes. Right now we have an art exhibit called Beginnings, and it will be showing until the end of August. And every summer, every season, we change the exhibits, so we're not sure what we're going to have next year. This is a piece here from the show by a woman called Sonia Boyce, who has done an incredible job. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece of work. And Sonia used to live in Red Lake. She grew up in Red Lake. And we have a People's Choice Award that people can come in and they can vote for a piece. It's been by far the most favorite piece, the favorite piece of, I would say, about 60% of people have voted for that one particular piece.